Dear students, I welcome everyone for this video lecture. In this video lecture, we are going to see triggers in SQL. So, introduction to triggers. So, why the trigger we are using in SQL is if we are doing some set of modification in our database, there exists trigger. So, modification, that is, we will design a database. Further modification we will be doing in the database, there exists a trigger. So this is a definition for trigger. Triggers are special stored procedure that are automatically executed in response to certain events on a particular table, that is on the particular database or view in a database. So it will be automatically executed for the particular event. So if there is an event happen, with it automatically it starts triggering starts. So there are two types of triggers, before trigger and after trigger. So we will be calling it as before trigger. So before trigger executed before an insert operation, update operation or delete operation. After trigger executes after an insert operation, update or delete. So these are called DML languages. You know, this is a DML command. So insert, update, delete are called as a DML command. So whenever we are using triggers, there will be an executed path of DML command, that is insert, update and delete. So if the trigger exists before insert, update, delete, we call it as before trigger. If it exists after, we call it as a after trigger. So this is a general syntax, that is for creating a trigger. So create trigger, then you have to give the trigger name. You can give the trigger name on your own. For example, student underscore name or employee underscore name, faculty underscore name. The name can be whichever name you can give for trigger name. So create, sometimes you can use a replace also. Replace trigger name. Then we can go for the syntax before and after. So you know only two types of triggers can be used. So you have to use before or after. Since it is a syntax, we are given before and after. Then you know the trigger will happen only in the three set of operations: insert, update and delete. On table name, on which table you are going to set up a trigger. That is, the trigger is going to fire for each row. For each row, you can set up a trigger. Begin. Trigger logic. We will be giving some set of logic. For at the particular statement happens, it has to be triggered. So here we will be using a trigger logic. Then we are going to give an end statement. So this is a syntax for trigger. Next one, we are going to have an example. Ensuring the student's GPA remains with a specific range of 0.0 to 4.0 after each grade update. Use case, using a trigger to enforce this construct. So by this example, you can understand ensuring student GPA remains with a specific range after each grade update. So you can see update is an operation we are going to do with the help of trigger, and we are setting an student GPA should be in the specific range of 0.0 to 4.0. So we are giving some specific range. So this is an before trigger. So create trigger name we are given, check underscore GPA underscore range, before update, that is before update, before the update operation is going to happen. On grades, is grade is nothing but an table name. So this is a grade table name. You can see here syntax on table name. It is clearly given. So this is on the grade table. For each row, you are going to give a trigger. Begin. If new.gpa less than 0.0 or new.gpa greater than 4.0, then signal SQL status for 45,000. That is a constant message. Set message underscore text. If it is true, GPA must be 0.0 and 4.0. End if. So the if statement started and end if. This we call it as a trigger logic. You can see in the syntax trigger logic. Trigger logic here. So this is a syntax and this is a before trigger and end if, and the if statement is ended here and the begin statement is ended here. Now we can go for explanation. This trigger ensures that the GPA value is within the specific range before an update operation is performed. So this is called as a before trigger. So this trigger will confirm that all the GPA entered is 0.0 to 4.0 before the update operation happens. Next we go for after trigger. You can see same like that. Create trigger update underscore student average GPA after insert. So after insert operation on grade tables, that is we have inserted. We have inserted each and every row, all the columns we have inserted. For example, for a particular student, you can take an example roll number 101 for a student. You have inserted all the grades. So that is after insert for each row begin update students. So update operation is going to happen. Set average GPA. Average GPA equal to select average GPA from grades where student ID equal to new dot student ID, where ID equal to new dot. So you are giving some set of ID. So all the student ID we are going to update an average GPA in that particular row. So after this command, this is an example for after trigger. Then we are given an end statement. You can see this trigger occurs only after trigger statement. That is, it is an example for after trigger. So explanation, trigger event after insert on grade. So trigger fires, that is trigger executed after a new row is inserted into the grade table. So once the row is inserted, then the trigger will come into an action. Trigger logic. For each new row, trigger updates the average GPA field in the student table. See here, it updates the average GPA in the student table, but actually you are adding a row in the grade table. So in the student table, it calculates average GPA for all grades associated with the student ID and newly inserted row that will come under new underscore student.id. The calculated average GPA is then used to update the average GPA in the field of student table for the corresponding ID where ID equal to new dot student dot ID. So this is an explanation. This trigger ensures that whenever a new grade is added for the student, the average GPA of the student is automatically updated in the student table. For example, initially the student has got with the grade of B. After reevaluation, the student is getting an A. So automatically when we are given the after trigger, there are new marks or GPA will be updated in the student table. It maintains data consistency by eliminating the need for manual calculation and updating an average GPA value. So you can see if you want to put some set of GPAs between some specific range, you will use before trigger. So after trigger, if you want to use the table for the particular event after, you can use after trigger. So these are the advantages of trigger. Enforce data integrity, simplify complex logic, improve performance. These are the advantages of using a triggers. Thank you for watching this video.